entered the 10th day of the government shutdown, but now it finally looks like there could be progress in Washington. Today, the president will meet with the House Republican leaders. Some say just talks are a step in the right direction. Still, the president says he's had enough of the antics in the nation's capital.
The theory that we should shut down the government as a negotiation tactic should never have been done in the first place. And it does a disservice to all the men and women in uniform and all those veterans who sacrificed for our freedom.
There's some kind of deal brewing. I don't know exactly what it looks like.
Today's meeting comes as House Republicans consider advancing a short-term increase in the debt limit before the government risks going into default a week from today.
So what effect will this have on politics going forward? A new Gallup poll shows that the GOP's favorability rating stands at 28%. That's down just 10 points from last month. Democrats faring a bit better, but not much. Their favorability rating stands at 43%. That's down 4 points from last month. Joining us to assess the battle going forward, Democratic analyst George Bachrach, Executive Director of the Environmental League in Massachusetts, and Jeff Simone from the Massachusetts Young Republicans. You guys have been here before. You've done battle on this desk right here. Could there be permanent damage to either or both parties?
Well, this is a classic case where the Tea Party wins either way. They win if they get what they want, and they win if everybody gets turned off by government. And that's where we're going right now. People are just cynical and alienated. They think everybody in government's getting it wrong. That's
Jeff,
the problem.
You're trying to grow the Republican Party with young Republicans. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'd actually agree with George, but I think there's plenty of loss to go around here. But there is a path forward, and I think we're seeing signs of that now. The president is coming to the table, and we've heard rumblings that the Democrats are willing to come to the table on certain things, and we can move forward. If there's a negotiation happens, it'll be a positive step for both parties and the country.
Just everybody agrees. There's polarization extraordinary down in Washington, perhaps more than it's ever been. 82% of Democrats polled in the Rasmussen poll say, you know what? Let's stop this right now. We want healthcare to stay the way it seems. 71% of those in the GOP say, you know what? Continue on with the shutdown until Obamacare is changed. That's very extreme. People are really entrenched to where they're at.
I think that shows where the root of the problem is. The Republican Party is determined to stop Obamacare. They've never liked it. And the problem with this is if you give into this, what's next? The Republicans or the Tea Party say, now you've got to stop the EPA or we're going to shut down the government, and next week you got to stop something else or we're going to shut down the government. You can't run a democracy that way.
Well, George fails to mention one very clear fact, and that is that people are now coming around to the realities of Obamacare, which is their premiums are not going down by $2,500 as the president promised. They're actually going up. You can't keep your doctor. You can't keep your insurance plan. So all these promises that were made during an election season aren't coming to fruition, and people are kind of waking up to that fact. So
that's the usual Republican narrative here. Has your insurance changed, your doctor changed? Has your insurance or doctor changed?
It's gone up quite a bit. It's gone up quite a bit.
It is not, of course. For 90% of Americans, Obamacare doesn't affect you. It's for that small, narrow band that's neither poor or elderly.
All right, let's end on this note real quick. Yes. Put on your Mr. Fix-It hat, okay? Be a good guy. Jeff, tell me how you would help. Both you guys are in the corner. Democrats and Republicans, both in a corner. They're entrenched. So, Jeff, how would you help the Democrats sincerely? Jeff, George, how would you help the Republicans sincerely?
Modest entitlement or tax reform, and I think you've got a deal on both sides.
Reenact Simpson Bowles. Bring back a smart bipartisan group that will make recommendations on how do you reduce the deficit and get the Congress to commit to abiding by it.
I agree with George.
The second part of this message, because they did it before, but nobody listened. All right, you guys, thanks a lot. Always good to have you here. Stay with NECN for the latest in the government shutdown. I'm going to give you updates on air and online, as always, at NECN.com.